just repeat that. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this meeting. We're going to be talking now about the FloodZone alert in EnerGov Desktop with the goal of finding a way to make a like-for-like configuration in EnerGov Enterprise to at least have a similar activity going on. So, Jason Huffnagel, what would be the best way to approach you? Do you need to kind of see how it's currently done?
I need to know how it's currently configured in desktop to try to mimic it so I can duplicate it in enterprise. That'd be the best way to go about it.
So maybe we need our SMEs to tell us a little bit about how it operates and then how it's configured.
I don't think it's currently set up that way with an alert for the flood zone parcels.
Okay.
Remember, this was until recently being done by building and safety.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And so what building and safety folks don't like the pop-ups, for the high fire and
correct
planning also. They don't want the pop-ups because somebody just clicks out of it and that's it. So instead, what happens is we wanted, at least land development wanted a notification. If there was a code enforcement case, it will show up as a notification with a red color attached to it. And that alerts the whoever is processing the thing that there is something special. And so at least on the flood development permit stuff, we wanted a notification.
So let me just interject real quickly. So it's very important that we make sure that looks like per the contract, we don't necessarily get anything more than what we've got right now. So, I mean, I can take it for the backlog, I can take careful notes about what we want to have eventually. So, and we can use our sysadmin that we're hiring to help us do that. But for Jason's sake, how does it operate now? Right, Jason? Is that what you need to know?
Well, yes, and I think Chandra just said it right there. Currently, it just creates a pop-up, and that's not what's needed. He said it's something different is what's needed now, moving forward.
Okay, so that's the moving forward piece. But in terms of delivering, giving Jason Huffnagel his marching orders, I guess we're delivering a pop-up, right? Even though it's not wanted, that's not what is wanted necessarily.
Right. The pop-up doesn't work. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, it's not so much about whether it's a backlog or whatever, but this would be the time to kind of address it. I guess it could be done later.
So
not a problem, but
let me just
go ahead.
Put in my 2 cents on this though. So it'll identify based on the GIS information what is in a flood zone or not. It's just going to be a training issue to check that GIS tab. So it's not that the information is not going to be there. And I understand Chandra wanting the pop-up because the likelihood of it being missed is greater if you have to go look on a different tab. But just so I'm clear, that information will be there, right?
I don't want a pop-up, Anne-Marie. I want a notification that there are special rules
I meant
that apply.
Notification. Yeah, sorry, I meant notification. Sorry.
Yeah, okay.
And just for my
clarification, the information is on the tab, though, right, Jason?
Yes, so the information is on that tab, but from what Chandra has said, let's say, for example, it goes into a certain flood zone. I think it's AE as an example is one of the zones. No matter what percentage of AE they want it to fire, and that's where my issue is, because the way EnerGov sees it, it sees it as each entry or possible entry needs to be entered in to make sure it populates correctly, and that's where it gets difficult from my end for EnerGov to see the information and then reproduce the notification every single time. So what we could do is do a notification every time, but then you would have constant bells going off. And that's what was needed. I think it's needed anytime anything populates that has
So
a
if
certain
it
zone.
comes back to
I'm sorry, you cut off there, Chandra.
and because we want a notification. Pardon?
Sorry, I was just commenting that you were cutting out. Sorry.
So two things. One, okay. So looks like we don't have accurate information in GIS. That's the first thing that has to be fixed. And then there's also a question of we don't have this notification in the current desktop application. So given those two things, I think we are better off deferring this to the backlog. And in the meanwhile, we'll have to see how exactly to process cases.
Do you have an opinion on that, Ann? You might be muted.
I agree. I agree with what Chandra's saying. I think he hit it right on the head where we don't, the information coming over is not accurate. We don't have that currently in desktop. So it probably is something that's going to have to be put on the backlog and the back burner for when we get our admin support.
All right. What then do we do with this particular GeoRule? I mean, do we put it in basically on an on hold state, or do we do some sort of an implementation that gives us something that sounds like there's no path forward for an immediate solution?
Roger, we do have flood information in our current desktop version, right? And that comes from, I'm assuming, GIS, right?
Separate though.
In the current EnerGov 2009, I believe there was a GeoRule set up there for flood zones. I'm not sure what it was supposed to report back on because I haven't read that GeoRule in ages, but it's probably coming from the same layer. And so my question is, when you say the information isn't correct, what's not correct about it?
It's how it's identified, in terms of the percentages.
Oh, you don't want to see percentages?
Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, we need to know that special rules apply. It's not so much about what percentage it is.
But what would you rather see?
We would rather see, specifically the maps that FEMA publishes. I mean, it has to be consistent with that.
What we do is, with the analysis, we take the FEMA map, and for every parcel, we do an overlay analysis. And if it's 100% in one zone, it will report back 100% in this zone, 50% in that zone, whatever. So it's as accurate as it can be. What we could do, if you want to see the map in EnerGov, we could just put in a layer for the EnerGov map, for the FEMA map.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah.
So
that would be.
And then you just configure the GeoRule to look at the map rather than the parcel information.
So we would then have the information you need then, and that's just a GeoRule. So that seems pretty, I don't know about simple.
You just basically just add a layer in there.
Jason,
and reconfigure the GeoRule to move the layer.
Jason, is it as straightforward as that? Simply reconfigure the GeoRule to point to that new layer?
It is. I mean, it is and it isn't. I mean, yes. You would just point to that layer and try to abstract that attribute information from that layer. Yes, that's all correct. Just making sure it works properly is the harder part for EnerGov. But that's about it. And just making sure I have the aliases correct and everything else from that map server. I guess that might not be the map server, it's a map layer, so yeah. My only question is, when will that be done and added to the current map server?
I'm looking at doing it, today. I've got two days this week to look at things. I'm going to try to work on that today and see what I can get to. I got to push through the new parcels anyway in there.
Okay.
So I could add the new flood zone map to that, and I could filter it so that staff will not see zone X in there if that's their preference.
Right. I think that would work for now. And then on the back burner, we'll have to, Kurt, we may have to have some sort of a notification developed.
All right. So I don't know if you can see what I'm writing on the screen. It's in gray, so that's not incorrect. This part right here, I'm just going to highlight it in yellow. We're talking about an option here to basically add the FEMA map layer, which Jason could map to. And Jason, I'm going to pause and ask you a very important question, and you need to be honest with me. Is this all sounding up and up? This sounds like it's pretty straightforward. Is it indeed on your end pretty straightforward? I mean, like you said about the testing and the like might turn out to be something else, right?
I mean, yes, it is. It's just making sure this is working before conversion is crucial. That's the only thing.
No, okay.
So yeah, if we go ahead and change this before, it has to be done before we can start conversion.
Thank you. That's exactly what I was hoping for, that you would shine some light on, was anything that might impede us at this late stage, such as conversion. Conversion. So, what I'm hearing overall is that this is altogether, we really do need to tackle this as a city team when we have our own sysadmin. This might be something that we can try to at least get us to meet the basic requirement for the flood zone alert, with a note that we'll see what we can do as long as it doesn't impede our forward path, with a note that we're going to take this on with a deeper dive with a backlog entry. Does that sound like a way forward?
The notification can be done as a backlog item.
Very good. And Chandra, I'm sorry to not always not understand. How does notification differ from a pop-up? Can you please help me understand?
So what happens with the notification is it comes up with a red tab essentially, and when you click on the tab, it will tell you, okay, this parcel is in the flood zone, and there are special rules that apply. So pop-up is something that just comes up, you click it and it goes away. And so it becomes like more of an irritation. And then the person who's handling it doesn't know that there are special rules that apply.
I understand. Thank you for explaining that. So how about if we go forward with letting Roger do his layer creation, when he can notify us, and then Jason can attempt to map. We'll see how that goes. We'll try to test it out. If it works enough to get us by, then we'll mark this one complete, and when nevertheless we'll add it to the backlog for future work. Does that sound like a way forward, everybody?
Yeah, I think that works.
I think so too.
Yeah, Jason.
Okay, I'll add the map layer.
Great.
Okay.
Great. Wow. All right. Well, it's just been 15 minutes. So if we're done, we can stop now and have a nice billable moment. Do we need to talk any more on this? Roger, you said you might have it by the end of this week?
Yeah, I'm going to be here today and tomorrow, so I'll look at it today, see what I could get done.
Thank you. Anything else, anyone?
Nope.
I'll just going to ask Roger on the historic layers. I'm assuming you're going to be working on that as well this week.
Yeah, when I push through the new parcels, I think there'll be 3 fields that will have new names, and you'll be pulling. You'll notice which ones. So what I'm going to do is basically I'm going to edit the map service by adding in a new parcel layer in there. So I'm going to take out one of the parcel layers you're not using anymore. I'll leave the one that you're currently using and add a new one in there. I'll probably just call it EPAR or something like that, so that I won't break anything.
Okay, sounds good.
And I'll also add the what is it called? The flood zone layer.
Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Roger.
Appreciate your time and help, everybody. And I will
Take care.
I will publish this recording, so if anyone needs to watch it, just let me know. Take care.